Blessings on your 2022. It's a very auspicious date as I'm filming this. It is here in Australia at least the 11th of the 1st to 2022. So that adds up to 9. And 9 is about endings. And we're coming to the end of the Piscean Age, the final sign in the zodiac wheel. So this is also about endings. So the way we're being initiated at the moment, as we approach the full moon in Cancer on January the 18th or the 17th, depending on which side of the date line you're on, is endings to do with our family, to do with our home situation. So it doesn't get any closer to our hearts. So this is a time where many of us are being initiated into deep grief as a catalyst to let go of family members who choose a path that perhaps takes them further away from us, or traveling on a different time track, a different timeline. And our lesson at the moment is to honor their free will, okay? Because we can't ever purport to know what is best for another soul, because every soul chooses exactly what it needs for its own learning, its own highest good. And as humans in this realm, we don't have access to the big picture, so we can't see all the reasons why a soul chooses as it does. But our lesson is to not just honor free will, which is a universal law that states everybody has the right to live as they choose, as free and sovereign beings, that it's against the sort of the ethos of this beautiful benevolent multiverse to impose our will on another. That means not coercing, not influencing, despite the fact that we have more influences now than ever before, which is a reflection of how egoic our culture has become. But really acknowledging that every soul has the right, the innate, sacred right to choose their own path. All right? Oh, thanks. Good question, Jasmine. What age should souls have complete free will when it comes to the I know what you're referring to, the V. Well, for me, that's when they're a legal adult. Yeah, in the ancient world, that was 21. That's when people got the key to the mysteries and were initiated into adulthood. In our modern day culture, where we're sorely lacking in rites of passage to make that psychological and emotional transition from childhood to adulthood, we have a lot of children and teenagers walking around in adult bodies. And I've spoken about that in other videos, but I'm going to stay on point for what it is that I'm really guided to speak about today, and that is free will. It's not enough to just say, oh, I honor your free will. We have to embody it right now. We have to resist trying to influence another person's decisions. And yes, I'm talking about other adults, those that are over the legal age of adulthood. So, good to clarify though. So, the other thing is not perpetuating karma. Karma is another universal law, and it's the law of cause and effect. In other words, when we do something, whether it's an unconscious or a conscious choice, whether it's a belief, conscious or unconscious, we set in motion a chain of events, okay? That's what fate is. There's no point in fearing fate. The fate is what we create from our thoughts, words, and deeds. So this is a time of harvest, if you will, when we're reaping what we have sown. And the reason for that is Pisces, the sign of this 2,000-year astrological age that we're in, is about karma. It's the end of the wheel. So we have this opportunity to get off the wheel, to not keep going around in Groundhog Day doing the same dysfunctional patterns with those that we have been bonded to in the bottom 3 energy centers. Now, this is a form of bondage. This is what keeps people in the realm of 3D, living hell on earth. It's emotional and psychological attachment, enmeshment, where we cling together out of a fear of the unknown, a fear of not being safe without the protection of the mob, the tribe, the familial relationships. And we're clinging to each other from a place of fear and need. And we have this opportunity now. We're coming up to this quantum shift, okay, for our species. But the preparation is the teasing free of those tendrils that have us enmeshed. So this is a time of letting go, all right? How do we let go? We grieve. We shed our sacred tears, which allows us to soften and to come to a place of acceptance of what is in the heart. If we're not in that place, if we won't allow ourselves to soften, to inhabit our feminine half of our soul by feeling what is, we stay in the mind, which is the lower, the chakra, the energy center below the heart, the solar plexus, where we try and use our words, arguments, to influence another, to impose our will, that they do our bidding. And this is not honoring of everybody's free will. So one of the ways that we can keep karma going is needing to have the last word in an argument, or, you know, those barbed words. It's like, you know, the fangs of the serpent that acts out by striking and attacking another, rather than transmuting our own shadow. Like, you know, when snakes make love, they spiral around each other, like we see on the healing staff, the caduceus, which was appropriated by the medical community, but in the ancient world it represented the inner process of transmutation to become whole, holy and healed. So right now, we're at a very big crossroads. So what we choose will put us on a trajectory for two very different futures: living hell on earth or living heaven on earth. And every soul must make that choice for themselves. Now, this is somewhat challenging for those of us who are parents who have adult children, and we need to honor their free will, especially if their choices are taking them down a road, down a path that is not in co-resonance with our heart. Okay, our challenge is to acknowledge their free will and know that it's not a reflection on how good we were as a parent that they do as we would have them do, you know. So and I speak about that because we're coming up to full moon in Cancer, which is the sign of the caretaker, the parent. So this is striking close to home because it's the sign of family, the sign of what happens within the home. And so, you know, this can be a very emotional time as we come up to the full moon on January 17, 18, where we're going to have to feel in order to let go of those tight familial bonds, so that we're honoring our free will as souls, rather than trying to keep our loved ones close to us, fearing for them, fearing the unknown. This is a time to really strengthen our trust in a greater power, and if it helps, surrender, cast the burden by through the power of prayer and placing your loved ones into the hands of the divine, so that you're not obsessing in worry over their choices. So trust everything that's happening is divine will. It is all unfolding according to a greater plan, and our struggle, if you will, at the personality level is not to judge it, not to judge the choices of another, but to process our own reactions, our own feelings, so that we can come to a place of inner peace and acceptance. So personally, I've been really challenged on that front this week, and I've witnessed two other sisters, and I've got to say the only way that I'm able to go to the depths of my soul and experience the most raw states emotionally and psychologically in order to transmute my shadow into light is with the support of my sisters. And this is, a birthright that we lost during the Age of Empires. We lost our tradition of the Grail, which is the subject of my next book. We lost the practice of gathering together as women in the Moon Lodge during the darkest lunar phase, when we most need support emotionally and psychologically, because it's when the darkest phase of the moon initiates us into our deepest, darkest states. But it's through doing that shadow work that we mature, that we become wise. So on that note, this week I've opened up the registrations for my Red Tent Facilitator training. This is a course which has trained women in 44 countries around the world. We started in January 2013, and it's to give you all the skills that you need to show up every month in sisterhood as a practice, whether that's with your closest girlfriends or holding a public circle. Maybe you're looking for a new path, a new way to serve if you've left your old employment. This can offer that. So it's an opportunity to hold safe spaces for women to journey and support each other in a spirit of sisterhood. So the link is in the description, and also is a link to a more in-depth video about this full moon in Cancer and the lessons that it presents us with, which I put out last week to my subscribers. If you want to have a taste of my paid subscription, there's a free 1-month trial. If you click the link, you can check out the details. So, thanks, Danny. Thanks for recommending that training. And thanks to those of you that joined me live. Really grateful. So yeah, just from my heart to yours, wishing you compassion for yourselves. Let yourself soften and cry, knowing that the sacred waters of our bodies enable us to come back into our heart, so that we can be like one of the beautiful women in the Red Tent Circle I run online with my students every month. She said, may we have a strong spine and a soft heart. And those words resonate so deeply in me, that we have, courage, that we have strength because we've got support, like a basket. We weave together our threads consciously, not in need and bondage, but in support from the heart, so that we can open and stay in our heart and not become embittered and hard, rigid and resentful. So if you want to check out that practice, click the link, and I'm going to go and read all your questions and comments now. Thanks so much.